Hello everyone and welcome to the Road Review. Now today I have a very special video for you. I will be reviewing the Abarth 595 Competition Eyes. Alright, so stay tuned. This is the Abarth 595 Competition Eyes. It looks a bit like the Fiat 500. That's because it is one. It gets taken out in the Fiat 500 production line. It gets taken to Abarth, and Abarth customizes it, remaps it in the factory, and it becomes a sporty edition of the Fiat 500. Now this car, it's a lot meanier and it's a lot more aesthetically pleasing to look at than a Fiat 500. Now I'll tell you one thing, this isn't your girlfriend's car. Trust me, it isn't. And we'll get to that in a second. We've got a very low front splitter and we've got Abarth written all over the grille. We've got carbon fibre covering the lights. We've got 595 and we've got the Fiat 500 badge removed and replaced with a Scorpion Abarth badge. We've got larger brake pads and a yellow brake caliper. We've also got a really big modified spoiler, which kind of make it more aerodynamic for the car. And lastly, we've got tinted lights to make it look more sporty. Now, let's talk about the interior of this car. The interior of this car is really sporty and cute. Now, the thing I like most about this car is the sporty seats in the front. Now, they're like bucket seats, so they kind of hold you together when you're going around corners. Now, that is something I expect a lot of drivers to enjoy while driving this car, because the seats kind of keep you in the right position and they stop you from falling out. Now, what puts me off this car is the cheap interior that has been implemented on this car. Now, if you look at the doors, for example, very cheap material has been used for the doors, cheap material used for the door bins as well. Now, the dash as well, it just feels so cheap. And that's because it was originally designed as a Fiat 500. Now, because this is the Competition Eyes model, you get an aluminium gear hob and you also get some aluminium pedals, which is nice and it's different to having, you know, normal rubbery ones. Now, if you look at the steering wheel, I think it looks very sporty and I do like it. I think, you know, the carbon fiber makes it look a bit more expensive and a bit less cheap looking. And then it feels really nice to hold. It feels really nice to touch while you're going around corners. As we've spoken about spacing with changing the gears, you feel like your knee always hits the steering and the seat just doesn't go backwards any more than how it is in this position. So yeah, I've just gotta, every time I change gears, I've got to let my knee hit the steering, which is, again, annoying. It's not all bad, because this gear knob feels really nice. It feels nice to hold because it's roundy. It feels nice to shift. So yeah, I do like it. We've also got a radio. However, are you really going to listen to it when you've got this soundtrack? Now, my problem with this car is the pedals down here feel like they're crammed into each other, which means that when you try to move off in traffic, you can actually hit the brake at the same time as the clutch because there isn't much space in there, which is quite annoying. Now, Fiat 500s were originally designed, well, they've always been designed as cars that, you know, get you around town or for someone's first car, really, you know. However, this car, which is the Abarth 595 Competition Eyes, has been designed to be a driver's car, you know, someone who's about to race. You know, it's a mean looking car, you know, and it sounds absolutely phenomenal. So as some of you may know, they have discontinued the Abarth 500 and now they do the Abarth 595 and the Abarth 595 Competition Eyes. Now, the Abarth 595 has 165 horsepower and 0 to 60 is around 7.3 seconds. And now this car here, which is the Abarth 595 Competition Nice, has 180 horsepower, and 0 to 60 on this one is 6.7 seconds. However, now this car is remapped to stage 1, so it has, rather than having 180 horsepower, it has 210 horsepower. Now, one thing I've got to upload Fiat for is the amount of cup holders they've got. They've got 1, 2, and they've also got 2 for the backseat passengers, which is great. We've also got decently sized door bins for your water bottles. Now, right above the steering, we've got this really nice feeling Alcantara kind of dash above the speedometer. Now, I'm really disappointed that they haven't actually incorporated that on the dashboard or on the above the gear stick, rather than having just plasticky interior here. You know, it's just quite disappointing, I guess. Well, this car starts around £23,000. Now, the question is, are you prepared to spend £23,000 on a brand new Abarth 595? Now, I guess it poses the question. Let's see how it drives. This car sounds like an absolute machine. So we're currently just driving in a business park, so we're just gonna have to wait it out and drive outside, enjoy the fun outside. But this sounds really good. It pulls really good. It's really fun to drive. Now my only problem with this car is the suspension. The suspension is quite firm, and it's probably a bit too firm for my liking. Now, the problem with it being too firm is when you go above a speed hump, you feel like the whole car just shakes, and that's a big problem. But when you want to put your foot down, it's really good fun. Really fun to drive this car. The throttle response is really good at the higher revs, but to start with, you feel like there's a little bit of a turbo lag. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing. So, the Abarth 595. What did I think of it? Well, in my opinion, it's more of a track car than a car that you can drive around. Now, mainly that's because it just had Coney springs, which meant that the suspension was just way too firm for my liking, and that meant that it was just too rough in the cabin. Now, having said that, I think the Abarth 595 would be great fun around the track, and that's it. I'd like to drive the car around the track, enjoy myself, and leave it there. What did I not like about the car? Well, personally, it was space. Now, in terms of the steering position, you can't actually adjust the steering position. So if you wanted to push the steering up or down, you can't actually do that. And in terms of the seating position as well, you can't push the seat up or down. You can only push it forward or backwards, which meant that it was just extremely tight in the cabin. And every time I wanted to change gears, my knee would always hit the steering. And I found that quite annoying, because after a couple of days of driving it, it just got really annoying and it just hurt my knees. Can you imagine? Another thing I didn't like about the Abarth 595 was bucket seats. Now, bucket seats is one of those things that makes you feel like you're driving a sports car. However, on the Abarth 595, they're extremely small and they're quite tight, which meant that when you're sitting in them, after about a day or two of driving it, you feel like your back's about to break. You feel so crammed in there. So, it's not something I personally enjoyed. And I'd probably prefer having normal seats, because I think it adds value in terms of comfort. Even though a lot of you petrol heads out there will say, well, it's a sports car, why do I need comfort? Well, you do, right? Because in the end of the day, you're going to be driving it around for quite a while. So, you'd want to be comfortable, right? Another thing that made the seat uncomfortable was the pattern on it, because it made it feel like you're sitting on rocks, which was really annoying. As the car is front wheel drive, it has something called torque steer in it, which meant that it would, when you launch the car, it would steer for you. So you always had to make sure that whenever you floored the car or whenever you launched the car, you'd have to be extra careful, because otherwise you might steer yourself right into a bush, and you know, you don't want to do that, do you? Right guys, thank you very much for watching my video. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate everything, appreciate the comments. Make sure you comment below, share the video with your friends as well, and if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button below to make sure that you're notified when I make a new upload. Thank you very much.